All right. Hello, ladies and gentlemen. This is Darcy Gondaga, CEO at Royal Media. It's a pleasure for me tonight to have a special guest. She's not a special guest because my show is special, because she is special. Her name is Conchata, and she's so talented. And I always used to call her the the PMP software human software, whatever, because she's just so great at what she does when it comes to organize people, ideas, and businesses. And tonight we talk about something very important. How can we unite as Black people globally with everything's going on? But we cannot talk about how to unite as a whole if we don't understand how we can be united in our own house first. Because I believe that leadership starts in the house. So we're going to move from the house to what can we do as a community and to move stuff forward. We know what we're going to say is not going to be the gospel to everybody, but at least we bring our contribution to the solution that we think that we can use. So, Conchata, the floor is yours.
Oh my God! So, you know what? There were a couple of things. Unfortunately, you people didn't get a chance to hear.
Yes. At the
beginning, we was talking about two different. Well, I won't say two different. They're dynamics that actually work together. Relationships, as well as the relationship that we have outside the home and the relationship that we have inside the home. We was really kind of focusing on the relationship inside the home and in first. And we was talking about the woman who's looking for that Christian perfect man. Just perfect. He just prays all day and he's the leader of our home and he does this and he does that. And, I know that's what I want. Man, I was telling him a little bit of background for me that, I've been single, divorced, single, in a committed relationship right now. And there's so many things that I've learned in those years, and we would say about 20 some odd years, that I've learned in being single before married, being divorced, being single after divorce, and then coming to a realization of the type of person I am now in the committed relationship that I am in. And one of the key things I really, really want to say is knowing yourself is very important.
Okay.
Knowing your own identity in yourself, knowing your identity in Christ. Yes, I am a believer. I do believe in God. I believe in praying in tongues. I believe in praying, but there's two sides to me, actually three. But the two sides I really want to talk about tonight is there is a natural side to me and there's a spiritual side to me. I can't be so spiritual that I don't understand the value of being in, operating in this natural world. But then I can't be so natural that I don't understand the value of my spiritual soul. I got to understand that there's a balance for both.
Okay.
I didn't have that at first. In my singleness before I got married, I didn't even focus on that. I focused on, me living my life, me making my money. I had kids at an early age and making sure they was maintained. And I dated. When I turned 19, I was getting back into the Lord. I dedicated my life. And at that point, I'm in the learning process, 19, 20, with 2 kids, going to school, working full time, having my own place, having my own car, and really trying to manage life. Well, in the manage of life, I really didn't too much pay attention to my spirit.
Okay.
In my natural, I was like, oh yeah, I got this. I got my money, I got my car, I got my place, my kid got clothes, we got a full-time job, I'm getting a degree. I got this. I'm living this natural life. Okay, well, I had the mentality that I want a man who pray, who speak the word, who do this, and who do this. And I want everything to him to do. But what was my identity? I'm having an expectation of this Superman.
Wow.
In Christ. but yet I didn't even have the mentality of being Wonder Woman. Not in the spiritual realm and the natural realm and having that natural balance. So that means I went into the marriage unbalanced.
Wow.
But with expectations, high expectations on a man who was imperfect. Right. Yes, he did this. Yes, he did that. But I didn't understand that there is a Christian man with imperfections. Neither did I understand my own identity before I went into that marriage. Yeah, I was praying. I was praying in tongues. I was going to church every Wednesday, Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. I was serving in the church. Kids were serving in the church. But there was still that part of me where, okay, where is the balance? Girl, do you know yourself? Before you even got married, do you really know what you wanted? You had the persona of Ken and Barbie mentality, but that ain't what you got. And I can't sit there and put everything on him because I came in with the mentality. Now, fast forward, that also put me in a position where I didn't know how to treat him like a king of the house.
Wow.
There's one thing of being subservient under him. But there's another thing in me being the woman of God that is nurturing and guiding and communicating with this king. Right? Irregardless of what his situation was, irregardless to his imperfections, yes, he has to take responsibility of that. But my responsibility was, okay, I went into this thing with no knowledge of what it means to be married. Only knowledge I had was what I seen from my family dynamics, my mom, my dad, my aunts, my uncles, and it wasn't perfect. So now I'm in a relationship or in a marriage that is a covenant, and then I'm imbalanced. Then we find out that, he's imbalanced. So now you got two imbalanced people, and now it's like a rickety railroad track.
Yeah.
Eventually something is gonna, either the train gonna stop or the train gonna get derailed.
Yes.
And eventually that happened. The train derailed. So now I'm broken. I'm hurt. Everything that I had on my checklist, it is gone. And then I had to struggle with the mentality that all men are not the same. Because of what I experienced. Now I'm pushing forward into another level of, okay, I got to get out of this thing. I went through this. I'm going through this. How am I going to come out of this? What is it that I need to reach out to? Why? It's like, wow, what is it going to take for me to realize that you got to understand your identity. You got to understand who you are. You got to know who you are. You got to know what you want, how you want it, and understand that you're going to be dealing with imperfect people no matter where you are. What I didn't realize, as I realize now, going through counseling, having good friends, getting into the word, understanding who I am, is that every bit of that situation opened up the door of how I was relating to people on the outside.
Wow. Can I say something real quick now, because people start coming in now? What we talk about is how we can unite Black people. One of them, there's three layers of problem in the Black community globally. It can be Black African, Black American, Black from the island, or a Black person who was born in Europe was still Black. Is that those three layers to believe cripple our race, our Black race, is sometimes like our home is broken. Like a relationship between mom and dad is not working.
Right.
It's spiritually broken. We don't have our true identity. I don't talk about now our ethnical identity. I just talk about like, oh, I know I'm from that village in Africa, because I'm from Africa. You might know your village and go to your village every weekend, and you still don't know how to navigate.
Right.
And then thirdly, number three is more like we don't own our money.
Mm-hmm.
We spend our money, and those three areas to me is what going to, if you can tackle that and fix it in our best ability,
Mm-hmm.
no matter, people can be Asian, from Europe, they're not going to be able to stop the black race. Do you
Mm-hmm.
agree about those three things I just said?
Mm-hmm. I actually do. And to add more to that, me and my daughter was in the car. We were talking about this earlier, and I told her, we need to have a On the Way podcast. And we was talking about the dynamics of foundation and how I build a foundation for them that the world is their oyster. It belongs to them. How you attain the foundation in yourself will be how you relate to other people outside in this world, no matter what race they are. Your culture is just as important as anybody else's culture. But don't use the culture as a division. Use that culture as a way of stepping up.
Yes.
We learn from each other. Okay. It was so crazy because in the conversation, we was talking about the Tower of Babel and how the people had one language and you could not stop them with that one language. They had one culture, one language. They knew exactly what they wanted to do. They knew exactly how they wanted to do it. And they know exactly when it was going to happen.
Wow.
And I said, now imagine what type of foundation you had.
Yes, Darnell.
For actually doing that concept of coming together. Now, just because they had the same language doesn't necessarily mean that they were all the same. They could have been all different.
Say that again.
They could have been all different.
We
don't know. You know what I'm saying? The only thing it says in the Bible that they had the same language. We automatically know everybody is different. If your fingerprint is different, that means you're different. Ideologies can be the same. Doctrinations can be the same, but how people perceive them and receive them is two different things.
Yes.
Like you can grow up in the same household with brother and sister, and one can be a murderer and the other can be a preacher. But they grew up in the same household now.
Yes.
They were getting the same thing. They were getting the same foundation in their house. But how one person perceived that foundation and the information they were given, they used it one way, and how another person used that in another way.
Yes.
Now, does it mean that the foundation was shaky? Does it mean that the foundation, they could have been getting the same thing? Their dad, let's just say their daddy is a preacher. They're getting the same word that the people in the church get.
Yes.
And we see this a lot about how the stigma of PK kids. How kids are just like wild and this and that. I'm like, dude, really? No, it's the dynamics of the person and how they receive and perceive the foundation of where they come from. God showed me something a long time ago with the kids that I was raising in the home when I was married. Yeah. Now, these kids, we was in a blended family. And if you've never been in a blended family, that's a whole total different cultural dynamic. You know what I'm saying? You have kids that come in only on the weekends, but then they have another home that they are living in, and they have different ideologies and different doctrinations in that home. Then they come into your home, and now they got to be governed by another ideology and another doctrination if it's not the same in that home. Then you have the kids that were born into that home. You have the kids that were born into the marriage, born between the male and the female that was in that home that got married. So you got two different dynamics of children. We have 5.
Wow.
3 girls and 2 boys. I remember in a dream that God had showed me this forest. And in this forest, it had redwoods, it had firs, it had oaks, it had all different types of trees. But they came from one ground. And I was like, I woke up and I said, Lord, why are you showing me this? He said, these are your children. He said, as long as the foundation is stable, they can feed from that foundation and still grow in the same forest, but different trees.
Wow.
And they're going to do different things. But that nourishment is going to be what they need. So when them children come to you, they're going to come to you based off of their need. One child was very needy. One child was very independent. One child was in between. One child was that go-getter. You know, I have no fear. I can go do anything I want to do. And then you just had that child, another child that just was an introvert, didn't want to do nothing. You know, but you have to treat each one of these kids differently, but love them the same. That was the foundation that God wanted me to see. The love of God was the foundation that the kids fed off of, but they can grow into any tree they want to be.
That's so powerful what you just said. I mean, like, the way you put it, it was just like your words were producing images. So the audience was with us now, you know, we can be able to ask some question later on. And they can see exactly what you are talking about. So we talk about the foundation of the family. So now, before we go to the next segment about, you know, now the identity of Black people, now how can you transition to somebody, for example, now as Black people, we're in a blended family or complicated relationship? Because like we have to talk about like relationships are not perfect. They are different, but there is no perfect relationship. So in an imperfect relationship, how can we move from that imperfect relationship to make things better, not perfect, and then transition into identity where we can transform ourselves as Black people inside the family to understand that we have to be united with our neighbors, united with people at work, united with people who are doing business, and we have common friends, you know, Darnell, and we have a t-shirt. You know, why you bought the t-shirt from Darnell? You have so many t-shirts. Why you bought his t-shirt and why you wear his t-shirt tonight is intentional. You're doing that because it's intentional. So can you share with me what was the transition? Because I know one of your daughter was so smart and, you know, that's how we inspired with Tamel to write books. She was doing so many things and champion of this and champion of that. So can you talk about that and why it's so important for Black people to be entrepreneur and to own something? Doesn't mean that we don't need to have a 9-to-5, but even if you have your 9-to-5, why it's so important to own and monetize our expression?
Let's change the dynamics of what you're saying, because there's two key things I just truly believe, you know, that's my opinion, that people need before it gets to the masses. You know, one, if you don't know who you are, that's a problem. Okay, I'm Black, I'm African, I was born and raised in America, but that's not my identity. That's what you see of me.
That's my ethnicity. That's not my identity.
That's
you have to separate that.
How the world categorized me. Me and my daughter was talking about that. If my color didn't matter, then what am I to you? If it wasn't for my brown skin, for you to categorize me because I'm brown skin, you're categorizing me, and then when you categorize me, you put me in the box, and then now you're not even paying attention to me. The media does this a whole lot, and I'm in marketing all the time. I deal with this with clients, and you notice I've been doing this for like 10, 15 odd years. We all back and know the media gonna show you what they want you to see.
All the time.
Okay? They know the buyer's persona. They know how you buy your stuff. They know what's gonna trigger you to buy. They know what color scheme they need to put in the ad for you to see to get your attention.
Yes.
They read you. They read your mail from the time you make your paycheck to the time your zip code of where you stay. They know when there's, I used to pick on my daughter, we would drive, and we know that in certain neighborhoods, you're not going to see a billboard with an African American on it. In another neighborhood, you're not going to see a billboard with a Caucasian in it.
Yes.
Because they already have pinpoint you. They already categorize you. They look at your mannerisms. They look at what you do, how you speak. They look at everything on the web about you. Anything that you put on the web is open book for anybody.
Yes.
They put it in a data, and then they sit there and take that data and put you in a category. Yeah. Okay, but African-American female between the ages of 35 and 45 who makes $55,000 a year will buy such and such, such and such, such and such, such and such. And if you show the ad in this color, if you put the words identity, if you put the words self-empowerment, if you put the words this, okay, they're going to buy that product. After this is me. After the third time you show that ad, it's going to trigger them that, hey, I may need to go ahead and buy this. All right. Let's just say that's true. So that means now they got you in a box. But that may not be that's not your identity.
Nope.
That's just a mannerism. That's just something that you do. That's a trigger. That's a habit. So you mean to tell me you're going to categorize me because of a habit? And then you're going to add my color to it? That's not who I am.
Wow.
That's not who I am. I'm a woman who loves to talk, who loves to communicate, who loves to talk. I love marketing. I love media. I love this. I love my kids. I love this. Get to know me as the person that I am. Recognize that identity before you try to categorize me by my color and the persona that you think, because what the media has portrayed to you. Now, beyond that. Now, when we push the envelope beyond that, now we get into the part of how we as Black people treat each other.
Come on now. This is a topic. Come on.
How do we treat? Are we treating each other based on what the media say? Or are you treating each other based on what you know of people? Which one is it? Because I told my daughter, if you strip me a color and I'm no color, then how do you categorize me? What are you going to say about me? How are you going to treat me? Because you've been so conditioned with the media to treat me a certain way. Me and you was talking about how I come into contact with people when I was in the medical field. A lot of the people that I work with were from Guyana, Cambodia, Thailand, Philippines. And when we work together, we didn't see color.
So now, let me ask you a question now. Now I have to ask you a question now. For people who don't know you. Yeah. I know you. So, like I was telling you when we were talking about, a few days ago, there's a lot of African people like me, I'm African, who think that African American don't like African, and they generalize it. It's like, no, they don't know. African American, we don't like Africans. So this is why we stay, in our corner. Sometimes it's even better for us to deal with Caucasian than to deal with them, and then continue.
Right.
What you were saying.
This was my thing about that. I'm not looking at what country you come from.
Come on.
And I know I'm different. You know what I'm saying? And most people wouldn't expect me to think the way I do because of where I come from. A country girl from South Georgia. Them two right there is enough to say anything else that I say. South Georgia. And notice I said South with an S, with an F, because that's how we say it.
Yes.
But to come into an environment of learning, reading, researching, and understanding that there is a whole culture of people out here. I want to know about you. I want to know why you do the things you do. Not because of the color you are, not because you come from Guyana, not because you come. I can easily say, you know what? I heard that people from Guyana is this. And then they'll easily say, no, we're not. Well, yeah, but I seen this on TV. Girl, you can't believe everything you see on TV. I seen this in the movies. I seen this over here. This is on CNN. This is
somebody told me. My best friend told me.
Crazy because this lady who was from Ghana It was so crazy. I was talking to her. She was a nurse. And she was like, the stuff that you see on CNN, don't believe everything you see. She said, now there are some truths about how there is poverty in that area. She said, but I can show you beautiful richness of that culture that the media will never show you. She said, but you will see it in Travel Canas magazines because they want you to travel to that area. They want you to come there. They want you to come spend your tourist money in that area. They'll show it to you there, but they won't show it to you in mainstream media. She said, why not? She said, we're not broke. We're not busted. We're not disgusted. We're educated people who want to live just like you live. We want richness. We want wealth. We want our children to have the best school, best education. And we're going to do what we need to do in order to get that done. I learned the identity of that woman without even being propaganda by the media. But the only way I would have learned that by talking to her, I had to have an experience with her. I had to be open to relate to her. I had to be open to want to learn, to want to go beyond the stigma of the internalization of me being from South Georgia or just looking at the media. I used to tell my kids all the time, let me tell you something about media. You better take that information, pray to God, come back and see what he say about it. If it's truth, it's truth. If it's not truth, he'll let you know.
Wow.
In this household, you're a believer. You ain't no Taurus, you ain't no Capricorn, you ain't no Aries, you're a believer.
That's it.
And as a believer, our conduit is God. He is first. And you hear what he has to say. Now, there are some people who don't believe in God. Okay, research your information. Get to experience people. Get into the culture. Talk to the people. See what their identity is. Quit trying to put barriers around yourself and around the people because you see what in mainstream media. It's you got to want to do that. I never forget this, Darcy. When I was in college, I was studying Western civilization. Out of 150 students in that class, 3% of us were Black. They did not have no African American studies. They didn't have no African studies. They didn't have no African history studies. And in that class, we took that class for 2 hours, one day out of the week for 3 months. And I can tell you in 3 weeks, which would mean that would be 3 days for 2 hours that we talked about the African culture. And it was so surface information. It was like, it got to be more than this.
But you know, it's one thing, when we study overseas, when I talk about, you know, history, we study almost every country in details. It's part of our curriculum. I know about what happened in China, in Japan, and Asia, what's going on in between them, what happened in Malaysia. I understand what's going on in South America. We learn what happened in America. Even when our Canada was created, we learn all that. But the politics of the United States is to make you think that everywhere else is boring. Be glad that you are here. So they even put that in the books. So when I got married to my wife and we talk about stuff, and she said, you know about that? I said, yeah, I learned that in 6th grade. You know about that? I said, yeah, I learned that in 4th grade. You know about that? I said, yeah, I learned that. You know about that country? I said, yeah. Because like they want to make sure that you were around it, you know, back in the day, you know, 20 plus years ago. I don't know what they do now. So that's part of the politics too, that when you see someone, you know, you think that, oh, wherever they're from, you know, the state is the best place. But knowing that there's so many other places, so many other different options out there that, you know, we can make stuff happen. But I know that people need to have, they have a few questions, but I want to, I know you have questions too, so I want you to give me some of the questions that you heard, and then if you want me to answer them.
It's funny that you said that about education because my boyfriend is from Antigua. So, Antigua. You know, right. And so he wasn't raised here. He was raised in Antigua. And in his culture, you're right. They had to learn every country. And there were things me and him would talk about in education. I was like, man, I didn't learn that to 10th grade. He said, I learned it in 2nd grade, 3rd grade. You know, he said, you know, you're United States. We learned it like in 4th grade, you know, and he said, you got to realize that education there is very big. In his family, if you didn't have a master's degree, you really don't have a degree.
Yeah.
Now, over here, it's optional. Over there is not.
Yeah.
You know, he was already 2 grades ahead of himself before him and his mom them actually came over to the States. And he was like, I got bored because you put me in a grade according to your system, your education system. He said, but I was 2 grades ahead of you.
Yeah, that's the truth.
And I was like, man. So one of my questions is, how hard was it for you to transition to a different ideology when you got here? Because I know it changed.
Yeah, I mean, now my case is very unique. And we talk about it, you know, off camera so many times.
Yeah.
My mom got a PhD in African American studies. So I traveled a lot. So I was born in Paris, and my first 8 years I was living in France. And, you know, I went to Spain, and so I was traveling early on. So my mind was already open. So when I got to Gabon, I was about 8 years old. And while we were in Gabon, every year we are going to different countries for years. But in my household, you know, from my dad to my mom, always, you know, be proud to be African and stuff like that, but do not feel superior to somebody who's not from Africa. And, you know, the way we've been brought up is like, always respect everybody. You can learn from everybody. Be friends with everybody, because that's how you're going to get ahead in life. So when we came to United States as a family, the number one thing was like the difference between the British English and the American English. So I was trying to speak like what I learned in school. They said, like, man, you're boring, man. You speak like a book. What do you mean? How do you do? Man, you don't do how do you do. Tell me, how are you doing? Say, huh? What you say? How, you know, I couldn't hear the stuff. You know, I was in North Carolina. It was like, what's going on? I can understand. Like, it seems like I didn't even know English. Everything I learned from school was like irrelevant. And then also is that the separation on campus. So it was a table with Asian people. The Hispanic was there. The African was there. The African American was there. And the Caucasian was one place in a fellowship hall. And me and a group of friends, we said, man, we're going to break that. So every week, just because it was a mindset, we used to go eat with the Asian people. Then we go eat with the Caucasian. Then we go eat with a black, you know, African American. And we did that to try to break the mold. And eventually, we have to create our own association, our own, you know, little stuff. But it was kind of hard, but not too hard, because I already knew about the culture. I already knew about that part, about the separation. But everything else, I was already aware of it.
Right.
And what really helped me, I was a DJ too, a hip hop DJ. So I love Tupac and Biggie. So to me, it was so easy just to blend in and just like go hard for it. But yeah, so it was that. The other part was really hard, is how money is important in the United States. Not that it's not important everywhere else, but like how it was like so
ingrained.
Like with bills. You know, I remember when we came to the United States, it was when Destiny Child dropped the song, bills, can you pay my bills? Bill. So we ask everybody, like, my God, why is everybody talking about bills here? And people say, man, you will see, man. Everything is about the bills here. And then we realized.
No, go ahead.
Yeah, we realized that my real shock in the United States is the first time in an apartment complex where I used to live, rent not too far from the campus. The first time I saw somebody's stuff outside. I said, what happened? What's going on? I knew the guy, my God. And people coming take the stuff. And I said, what in the world? And I said, what happened? He was late on his rent. For how long? 2 months. 2 months. and you put a human being outside. I was shocked. I cannot believe those American people, they have no heart. Somebody, a student, somebody, a child. How in the world they can put him outside after only 2 months behind? Why? Because overseas, they're not going to put you out after 2 months. You have to be behind like maybe 6 months or 7 months, something like that.
Mm-hmm.
They're not going to put you out like that. And how the cops, I remember I was driving and I don't know what I forgot is like to turn a signal. And I said, but sir, I'm a student. And it's like, so, like, I'm supposed to give you a pass? Because overseas, if you're a student, you want to make your life better, cops will be kind of nice with you because, oh, you're a student. So they can ask you, what do you study? They start turning conversation unless you're doing something, drug or something like that. It was just like, So that was really a shock, putting people out because they haven't paid their bills, like they missed 2 payments. And also, same thing for the house. Hey, this is my house. Overseas, when somebody said, like, this is my house, the house is paid for. We didn't know about 30 years mortgage. So we know we speak French and English. So mortgage, we understand, is engaged to death. So I said, like, okay, yeah, man, I lost my house. We said, how in the world you can lose your house? I couldn't comprehend. How can you lose your house? Man, I lost my house, man. I have to move, man. Nah, I mean, I said, what do you mean? It's like, what do you mean? How you can lose your house? This is like the house that we have in Gabon, is a big house. My parents, they built it debt free. It was in the 90s. We still have the house. There's no way like we can lose the house. So we can understand that crazy stuff. And I remember something else too with my brother watching TV, and we saw a commercial. You can have this brand new Mercedes for $200 a month. It was late 90s. And my brother was passionate with cars, jump up, said, those American people are crazy. How in the world you can have a Benz for $200 a month only? So it was really the economic way of the credits, the high consumption. We were so shocked by that. Oh my God. So that was really, but everything else, it was easy for us to blend in. But the money aspect of people, put people out and people losing their house and get paying a car for 7 years. In our mind, you don't look at a car until you have 50% of the money. That's how we raise up. You don't have 50% of the money, don't even look at the car.
My boyfriend's the same way.
Oh,
we was thinking about, I think a BMW or something like that. He was like, you don't go in there unless you got $10,000-$15,000 to put down on it. I'm like, well, baby, the car's like $36,000. He said, yeah. He said, if you're going to pay, and then he said, you need to marginally believe that you're going to pay that car off in 2 years. You know what I'm saying? You got to get that money up to pay that car. For him, everything is about ownership. You know what I'm saying? And I noticed that I have friends that are from Jamaica. I have friends from Trinidad. It's about ownership. And when you're in a different country than America, economy is different.
Yes.
And that's why I was asking you about your ideology, and knowing that it would change when you get here because you still have to make amends here. You still have to live here,
Yes.
Now, the biggest thing is, even though you understood that there was a different ideology here, did you attain the ideology, or did you kind of like meld in and still kept your own identity of where you came from?
Wow, this is a billion-dollar question. This is a $1 trillion question. It's so powerful. No, this is what we did, and now I talk about my wife. We took everything was good because, there's so many good things about the United States. Now, let's talk about the good stuff. That the kids will go work at 16 years old. That I was really, proud of that. Wow, you're 16, you got a job? You're 18, you got a job? Because like overseas, unless you finish, your school, you don't really get a job. So you see people like 25, 26 years old, 27 sometimes, 28, who never work a day of their life. They just work until they get their master, then they go get their big job. And then, they don't really have job. Like if you do a small job, it means that you don't have the mental capacity to make the money.
Okay.
So it means that if you clean, that's the best you can do. So that was another way for me to do a small job. I remember a true story. I remember one of my uncle who came at my wedding almost 16 years ago, and he told me, son, he said, like, back then the house was like 150. He said, like, I'll give you 2 years. Exactly what he told. That's his exact words. I mean, you talk about pressure.
Yeah.
If you buy a house for $150,000 and you're telling me that you have a 30 years note on it, I'll come myself bring you back to Gabon, because like we raised you better than that. Your dad was good in math, your grandfather was good in math, and now you're good in math. If you take the 30 years, you're gonna pay that house at least 3 times. You know that? Yes. So what are you gonna do? Try to do anything I have to do to pay in 5 to 6, back 7 years, my boy. But it's like, okay, but you telling me that, but now are you going? Now that's the question. Now, are you going to help me to pay my house in 7 years? No. Okay, so I'm gonna take the 30. You see how the balance is? You see, but that's good. It sounds good. Yeah, it sounds good. Okay. Yeah, you're gonna give me $100,000 cash? No. All right then. Bye bye. And I will sign the 30. You see what I'm saying? So that's really to the example to let you know exactly.
So much in that.
You see that? To adapt. Okay, uncle. And he got money too. But that's another thing too. I cannot compare myself to him. He's a millionaire, even in US dollars. I cannot compare myself to him. So I understand what he was trying to tell me, because it's a business point of view. We say that's a ripoff. Yeah, that's a ripoff for people who don't have the means and we want to say like they own something. That's what we're gonna have to do to open more stuff, to get more stuff. I cannot pay that thing in 5 years. I mean, yes, I have a vision and the willing and stuff, but now I'm just getting married. I don't even know the American system at that time, like I know now. I don't have my business like I have now. So I'm like, back then I was getting, I was getting paid $9 an hour when he's telling me that. That's my salary. $9.60. I was not even making $10. So same thing, the car payment. So now good question. Now I get to the American way. So I got a car payment. I pay this, I pay that. And at that moment, now I go back to my heritage. Say, no, we business people. So let me learn the American system and how I can blend what I saw my dad, my uncle do in a huge scale globally. How can I conform it to where I am now, and how I can build a business from what I have now, eventually going to the global stuff.
Now,
yeah.
With that being said, we finna piece together something that most people probably don't even recognize. I'm born and raised in America and basically understand what this system is. But if you take me and put me in Ghana, I do not know what that system is.
Yes.
I have to be open to learn that system. But I have to be open to learn that system and not lose myself.
Yes.
Okay. The foundation that I have is still a good foundation. It has its ups and it has its downs, but look where it got me to where I'm at right now.
Yes.
Okay. Then I have the ability to actually take that on and move it a little farther.
Yes.
With more information, more education, more learning, getting around people, understanding the culture, maneuver around, but still not losing myself. And I was telling my daughter in the car, we lost ourselves along the way being enslaved. We lost ourselves.
Yes.
You know what I'm saying? And it was a intentional thing. It wasn't something that we wanted to do. It was intentional. That was something they wanted us to do. Because the only way you can enslave a person, you have to change their ideology.
That's why you asked the question.
Have the ideology of where they were from.
Yes.
My daughter said, well, why would you say that? I said, you think about it. If you really research our culture, we were wealthy.
Yes.
We were mathematicians and scientists. They saying that we were barbaric. We was a civilized nation.
Yes.
We was governors,
Yes.
kings, queens, which means that we knew how to rule and reign. We knew these things before we came here.
Yes.
So that means that the strong heritage of who we were before we came across this boat. We fought wars ourselves. We raged for lands and tribal territories. These are things we were doing before we even came over here.
Yes.
Okay, now, how can you enslave a people with that type of mentality? Without stripping them, put them in a foreign land and enslaving their mentality, because everybody thinks it's a physical. No, they had to enslave the mental capacity of that person. Because once that person knows they can do whatever they need to do, they're gonna get it done. Don't tell me what you can't do. Tell me what you don't want to do. Is what my mom say all the time. She used to say that all the time. Don't tell me what you can't do. Tell me what you don't want to do. Because when you make your mind up to do something, it's gonna get done. And I told my daughter that's where we are. Now we're in this place where we're building a foundation of getting that back.
Mm-hmm.
You know, we're now a nation coming together, knowing who we are, knowing where we come from, getting more information, researching, finding how they manipulated history, finding how they manipulated money, finding how they manipulated the legal system and the politics. It's not something that's new. It's just that we're finding this information to use it. So when you came from where you came from and you had that ideology, you didn't lose that ideology. What you did was you came over here, you took your ideology, you watched this system, and you figure out how to fit that ideology in this system to make sure that you have a strong foundation of the identity of who the person you was already are.
Yes.
Okay, so now we're at this place. We have a nation that is in turmoil.
Yes.
But we as the people that we are, we know who we are. We know that we are competent, very well educated. We know how this country was built. This was crazy. We was talking about this in the car. And I said, you do know there were indentured slaves that came over here from France. On that Pilgrim boat. And they already had a slave mentality. They just didn't want to be the slaves. And they already had a mentality they didn't want to work. So what was the next best thing for them? And there's a lot of people don't talk about the Native American that was here before they got here.
Yeah, but like this is now another part of history that people don't say is that the people who came over, most of them were bad people from Europe. They are the rebels. They are the people who were, you know, they didn't want to conform to the kings and the system over there. And they said, okay, so if you want to go there.
Right.
They are the barbarian.
Now, let me say this, though. That means that you already had this rebellious nature before you even came and put your foot on this land.
Yes.
And then your rebellious nature caused the legacy of rebellion. But what you did was legalized it.
Come on now. You
legalized rebellion. But you want to make it equality to everybody. No. It was not like that, people. It was not like that. I told my daughter, you do your research, you get in there, you get into your history, you understand that you are not identified by your color. You are identified as a human being that is upon this earth. You have feelings, you have emotions. And I said, I'm not negating that Black lives. Yes, Black lives do matter. I don't care what nobody say. They do. Yes. And the atrocities that have been going on in this country as long as before I was born.
Yeah.
is still, I don't think they're ever being in retribution for that.
But something that I want to say in this live for people,
they had that mentality anyway.
I want to say something that most people don't know is that at between 1960 and the end of the 60s, also from 1960 to 1969, they kill the people in Africa too who got the same mindset that Martin Luther King. There's a guy named Patrice Lumumba, who was the president of Congo back in the day, who was, killed. It is like, I believe 1961 or between 1960 and 1961. And, so many people were trying to rise in Africa at that time, where, the civil rights movement was going on here. It was like the movement was going on at the same time.
Right.
Okay.
Crazy.
Most people don't know. Most people don't know that, because like the part I want to say too that some people don't know from the States is in Africa we're still not free though. We're still not free. We're still under that power of over people from Europe who control our resources until today. So whenever you see civil war, is the same kind of stuff that you see now, the violence in Chicago and stuff. So why black people kill each other? That's the same thing. Why in Africa they're always fighting each other? We're fighting for the same thing, ownership. Can we own the land and fix the price of the oil and the gold and everything else? Until then, somebody will always gonna try to figure out how I can control that, because the person they put in charge, not 100%, but very close, always give a crazy amount to the other nation. So the way they do the stuff is that the person in power and his family, they give him 20%. And those companies, they take 80%. So they make him and his friend billionaires, and everybody else, the population, they don't, the people who got the money, they don't distribute the money the way it's supposed to be.
Right.
So it's been going on like that since 1960.
Sound like the American system to me.
Exactly. So that's why this is important, because I'm African and you're African American, so we can talk about this thing, so we can educate both sides. I put part one. I'm gonna keep going, especially now, at least towards July 4th. And take my time, I don't care how busy I am, to continue those conversations. So people, it's not gonna be just a one video on YouTube.
Right.
It can be a list of 10, 15, 20, where we can go deep like tonight and talk about it. And then, of course, answering some questions from the audience, and to really let people know that we can do our part by educate folks first. And number two, doing like what we are doing now. I'm supposed now to get my t-shirt from Darnell too, and invest money with each other. Until we control our money. I like what Fajo said. Fajo said something so powerful in January 1st. He called DJ Khaled, Didi, Rick Ross, all his friends. He said, look, man, if in 2020 we don't talk about how we can get bags together, we have nothing to talk about. Of course, we're gonna be cordial. It means like, how can we encourage each other in everybody's journey? How we can contribute by sharing, tell somebody, do something together, so we can come up as a people. But if everybody go get the bag and you don't tell everybody else where the bag is, what we are doing, because that's the only way that people will start respecting us, is that when we're gonna say, hey, I don't really want to talk with you. We're gonna drop retail price by 20%. Oh, apologize. Can we negotiate with you guys until we have that power, like the Jewish, the Chinese, and the Latin, community, where they spend their money together? We got nothing to talk about. If we think that is hard for us to, the hardest thing is for us to get together. And it's not that hard. And it's not that hard. If you put your mind to it, it's not that hard.
The commonality is life. We all want to live. If you all want to live, that's your commonality right there, no matter who you are.
Yeah.
That's your commonality. We all want to live. Period.
So, what we're gonna do, unless you want to say something else?
No, I'm ready for
we
the question. Yeah, we good.
You ready for your questions? So
I'm ready.
if people don't ask questions, I know you got more questions for me, so you can ask me a question. But there's a delay. There's a 25-second delay. So
Yes.
if you have another question, go ahead. So I will answer while somebody try to ask one of us a question.
Okay.
The floor is open.
Now, let's go back to the relationship thing.
Go ahead.
All right. You are from a different country, right?
Yes.
And your wife, where's she from?
She's from North Carolina.
Okay. Now, how was your relationship dynamic because of that? Because I know there was many differences.
Yes. So this is what we try to figure out. So when we start our relationship, we say that, look, when we get mad, we cannot call each other countries. We cannot do that. Let's establish our countries got nothing to do with us. So when we do argue,
I talked to my boyfriend about that one because that comes up plenty of times. He would truly say, "You Americans."
Exactly. So I knew about that. I said, we're not going to go through that because it's not. It is not because the person is from the country.
Mm-hmm.
It was a miscommunication, and the intention was not clear on certain things and certain habits.
Mm-hmm.
So I said, okay, my intention to you is to love you with everything I can do. I know your intention to you is to love me.
Mm-hmm.
Now, because of that, everything that you will do with passion, we will blame it on love. I'm not going to take it to a first degree according to the way it's coming to me.
Mm-hmm.
Now, if I'm getting mad, I will get mad at you, not at the whole state of North Carolina or the entire black race from the United States. They got nothing to do with what's going on here. And same thing,
like, so you didn't say you black women?
Yeah, no.
Women?
No. It's like you, Danita. You, Danita.
Wait, you didn't bring the whole culture of women's race?
No, it's you, Danita.
This is what y'all do?
No, it's you, Danita, doing it. And it's you, Darcy, doing it. It's not the people from Africa.
People really don't think that's important. They really don't.
Oh, no, it is.
I actually have caught myself saying that a couple times, like, men. You know what I'm saying? My boyfriend like, all of us are not the same. I said, well, but then he'll say, you know what, women. Y'all women, this all y'all do. I said, hold up. My name is I am a woman who is in the midst of this situation. So you want to talk to me? You deal with me. Now, all them other experiences you have, I ain't got nothing to do with it.
But now, let me add something too. The number one problem, especially for the guys, they went too fast, too quick with somebody they went out with somebody who would tolerate where they come from. I never went with someone who would tolerate Africa. Never. If I'm under a judgment seat every time, if you question how clean I am, if you question how much stuff I know, if you question my hygiene, if you want to bring everything that you saw from TV on me, we got no relationship. Don't worry about it. And same thing for me. If I'm thinking about that, every black woman when I used to date, oh no, you're just gonna be like back then it was Trina, or you just like Trina, the rap, or you just like Little Kim. No, they are entertainers. I meet with a real person. So in my mind, I think that you can respect me. All black women are like that. All y'all put us in jail. All y'all don't cook. All y'all don't do all this kind of stuff. I don't have no business with you. So that's the first thing. A lot of guys think that and I know it's not your boyfriend case, but the thing that, oh, if I have a little bit of money, or after some good loving, maybe the person will change, or maybe the person will respect me. So we're going into a performance mode into the relationship, besides to going throughout a learning experience, because life is about learning. You cannot perform life. This is life. You don't perform life. You come and you enjoy life. So if you go through perform, I will show you that I'm a real Mandingo. The relationship will not last. I will show you I'm a real Black woman. I'm a real Southern girl. It will not work, because now you try to perform and to prove to someone who don't even believe who you are in the first place.
So did they go back to putting you in a box and a category based off of what the media say?
Exactly.
So based on what we said before, so now you got a stigma of what a Southern girl is like, or you got a stigma of what a girl from Brazil is like, or what a girl. I mean, hey, they all like this, and it's all on Instagram. Hey, I love my culture. I love this. Ooh.
Go first. You go first. You go first.
Yes. Okay. Now, this question right here, what did you tell your children about motherland culture? Everything I knew. I presented to my children anything that I read, anything about the, how can I say it? When I was going through college, I didn't get a chance to finish this statement with Darcy earlier. When I was going through college and we was in the Western Civ class, and what I told you was like only like 25 of us out of 50 that was Black, and that we only got like 3 days of the African American culture. We decided in ourselves to come together and have a coffee group. And, we didn't just leave it just for Black people. We encourage, if you were Asian, if you were Vietnamese, whatever, if you want to know about our culture, we was going to research it ourselves. We was not going to leave that information into the hands of our teachers in college, who are only going to tell us what's in a book. And even when you do a lot of African American study, you still have to be mindful of who that teacher is, because that teacher don't love the understanding of African American history. They still only going to teach you from a book.
Yes.
So I used to take my children to different Nubian bookstores, and we would sit for like 1 and 2 hours in the store. They had a little coffee shops in there, and we would talk about the African American culture. We would talk about the African culture. We would talk about what is different. They would like ask me, Mommy, what is my true identity? Is it the color of my skin? And my youngest daughter, she used to say, I'm not Black, I'm brown. Black is the color in the crayon that looks like this, Mom. I look like this crayon color. And I said, yes, baby, you do. And so as my children grew, I kept them in an open mindset, and we always took time, at least once or twice out of the month. I made time for them to understand about their African culture, but I also made time for them to understand about politics and the American system, so that they are aware of both. Like my oldest daughter, she could sit down and talk politics with you all day long, but in the same breath, she could sit there and tell you about her African heritage. So it's just like, I had to take the responsibility as a mother to teach my children more than what's in that history book that they have. Talk to them about what the real Black Wall Street was like. Mommy, what is that? Or talk about the city massacres, like the one that happened in North Carolina, of the culture of dynamics of wealth and legacy that people try to erase from the books. I spent time with my kids, and I took a responsibility upon myself to not only learn from myself, but also learn from my children. And it's no different than they used to say in the Bible. This is the crazy thing. When they talk about leaving legacies in the Christian Bible, your King James Bible, the men would sit down with their children and teach them legacy. They would teach them their lineage. They would teach them and talk about their family dynamics, so that legacy can continue to keep going. And you keep doing it. It's crazy how we lost that in this culture. We lost that.
But well, guess what? If even in some African countries now, the men not necessarily teaching the children.
Right.
Because like this is why we're talking. Because like sometimes you think that, oh, some people say about, oh yeah, in Africa we're doing this, and no, we don't. Like I was talking to a guy, I said like now, when I was growing up, it would be impossible for a 20, 18, 19, 20-year-old to have his his underwear showing. But I was telling them, oh yeah, in Africa. I said, no, in Africa, Lil Wayne is still our president. I said, Lil Wayne, Weezy is still our president over there. Because like now is worldwide, everybody got a phone. So bad thing about, in Africa we don't do that. No. The young people in Africa even call themselves now the N-word. Don't even know the idea, they don't even know the style, they're just doing it. So bad thing about that, oh, at least in Africa you're doing that. No, even now, some young African who's 20-year-old, 20, 21, 22, don't even know his own history living in Africa. That's how bad it is. So this is why we have to have this type of conversation. It's not just like, no, the men was the same thing. And I don't know if you finished answering, but to me, I mean, I teach the kids. I mean, they went to Gabon twice already. So I teach the kids, the experience. We talk about it. Actually, my daughter tell everybody, I'm originally from Gabon and I'm from North Carolina. I'm also French and I'm also American because I was born in Atlanta. She's telling that to everybody. Like I'm all for. I don't know what she's gonna choose. But she's let them know that I know each part. Because at the same time, I want also her to spend time with her family in North Carolina. So to teach them their part of heritage was important as well. So it's not that I'm just not gonna say like, I'm only gonna teach you about Europe and Africa. No, you have to learn about the whole thing. So yes, of course.
But to take it a little bit further for Bricia, to give it a little bit more definition, what I taught my kids about the motherland culture is how we as a people were a civilized nation and how we were not only just kings and queens, but we had laws ourselves. We have alphabets. We were mathematicians. We were scientists. We was a culture that had water ducts under the system to bring water into the city, and people don't even recognize that. But when we come here to the America, how we came here, imagine the creativity that we brought here. The buildings, the science, the math. You think we learned that in this culture? No, we had that before we came over here.
Yes.
They just put it in an Americanized system. That's it. We had that before we came. And I tell my children that all the time. I was like, look, the consciousness of who you are is always based off of your research, because you can't sit there and rely on everybody else to give you the information that you need. You're going to have to get in there and start researching. And I don't mean just saying Google.
Because that was another thing I've been telling folks. Somebody, I need to talk about it. I know it's gonna might create an internet revolution, but I have a long talk with Israelites. So so they asked me, do you know who you are? Casual question, like that on Marta on the subway a long time ago.
I swear one.
Yeah, I said like, yes. Whatever name that you have, it's not your name. You're not from Africa. You're from where is I'm from? I'm from the Middle East. Do you research? There's a Jewish guy who did a YouTube video, and I was looking for my ID while he was talking. I was looking for my ID while he was talking. I said, look at my name. My name is Akinenge Ogandaga. Akenenge is the name of my grandfather. So my name is Akenenge, son of Ugandaga. My name is an introduction to who I am, my village, where I'm from, and all that. And I know my village. And I met my grandfather. And that story about you from, if you're from United States, if you're black, if you're African American, you're not from Africa. You were original Hebrews and all this kind of stuff. I said, no. Don't confuse the two. Joseph got a black wife. Moses got a black wife. Their wives were from Ethiopia, Africa. They were Jewish people. They are already not white. They are, some kind of light skin mixed with something. So after that, they bring their kids there. But the original black people still from Ethiopia, and it was still Africa. Okay? So I'm not going to forget what I know and go listening to a YouTube video about somebody say, hey, and that's what the part who lost me said, like, our bone structure. I said, that's the same way they told people in Rwanda in the 60s that one got a nose like this and the other one got a face like that. And that's one of the manipulation that they did in the late 50s in Rwanda in the first civil war before the one they have in 1994. And I was like, okay, all right. Have a great day. Bye. Because, come on.
But the thing about it is, your legacy.
Yeah.
Okay. So that means that foundation that you have will not shake you from your identity.
Yes.
Bricia asked, what was your first impression when you met an African? Did you have a conversation? What do you guys talk about? Oh, God.
It was me.
No, it wasn't you. Actually, I was 22, maybe. I was really in the medical field. I was studying nursing. And this was my first time actually going in and working into the hospital system. Way before then, I was working in a nursing home. My encounter was mostly islanders. And so I remember this nurse, beautiful, beautiful lady. I think I was working on the oncology unit, working night shift, 22 years old. She had been like maybe 35, 40 something years old, kids, married. And I remember she came in. Now, she had a heavy French accent. And she was from Cameroon. And she always say, Kunchata. That's my name. And I'll be like looking at her like, lady, it's Conchata. Conchata. She said, I just love saying that name. And she has such a heavy French accent. And I remember me and her having a conversation about raising kids. And it got heated. That was my first conversation with her. It was at night, 2 a.m. in the morning. We was having our rest moment. And we was talking about how you shouldn't beat your children and who goes out and gets switches and, you should use your hand and you should use forceful throw. I was like, let them do something they don't have no business doing. The country is going to come out of me. And I'm going to make them go out there and get 3 switches. I'm going to braid them switches, put some water over it, and I'm going to tear that tail up. And then she was like, why did you put water on it? I said, because I don't want no marks on my children.
Oh my God.
Come on now. You ain't going to the school. You see all them marks on your arm and talking about your mama beat you. No, we're going to whoop them with a wet switch. That's what we're going to do. And she was like, that is so cruel and insane.
She was from Cameroon?
That was my first, literally, my first encounter. And I still remember that later to this day. I have no idea where she is, but that was my first encounter with an African. And honey, we had a heated conversation. Our conversation was about a good hour and a half of us trying to figure out how to raise kids. And I'm like, hey, you might do that and I said it, I was young. You may do that in Africa, but we ain't finna do that here in America. Okay? Yeah. they gonna get a beating over here.
I mean, I'm surprised because like it's part of a package in most countries, you know. So sure, maybe raised differently, you know. So
I think she was, you know, she was, and I remember asking her questions about what is the difference between a white American and a South African. I heard that question because I said, "Is there a difference?" Because to me, they both look white. She just shook her head. She said, "There's a big cultural difference between those two." She said, "I'm gonna tell you." She said, "Now mannerisms may be the same, but you will definitely know the difference between someone who is South African and someone who's white American." She said, "I don't care about what the color look like." She said, "But cultural differences is totally different." And she said, "For a South African, they're English bred. They're English bred. You're not going to get that from a white American when they're Anglo-Saxon." She said, and that's the difference there too. So she really helped me understand. I didn't never have the stigma that Africans don't take baths.
Yeah.
I never had the stigma that, you know, they dumb. I'm going to tell you the stigma that I did have. When you come over here into America, y'all had 2 or 3 jobs. You always make sure you have money in your pocket. And if one job was gone, you probably had 2 or 3 businesses right behind that. You had 3 or 4 people staying in your household that were from your family. And if an elderly had came over there, they didn't work, period. No matter if they were above 50, they didn't work. They stayed in their house. They maintained your house. They kept your kids. They was the nanny. They was the grandmama. They were everything you need that person to, even if it was an aunt. They did not work.
Oh, no.
They believe in the family dynamics. They believe in ownership. They believe in having everything that they want. If they have a desire for it, they don't believe in thievery, stealing, none of that. None of that. That was, you know, those were my ideologies and encounters with someone who was African American, and they had degrees. Because some of them had degrees. They had 2 jobs and 2 businesses, but they had a degree. I didn't see a lazy African. I didn't see a lazy Jamaican. I didn't see a lazy TNT, Trinidadian. When I see people from other cultures, they were not lazy people. They worked hard to get what they need here in the American system. But what hurt me the most is how hard they worked to attain things in this system that's not according to their ideology. And they feel like they had to lose their ideology in order to do that. You don't realize this. When I used to work for a major hospital in Atlanta, we was doing insurance through the hospital, and we was trying to build a network. They had an internal network that would come through the hospital that we can actually present to different companies that within a 25-mile radius that didn't have employee benefits. Okay. So this one organization, we had an opportunity to talk to the CEO and the owner. 95% of his employees were from Cameroon, Guyana, Ghana, Ethiopia, and it was one more country. I can't remember the name of it. It was like 5 countries. When I tell you 95%, 95% out of 100, none of them had health benefits. One. And we came to the CEO, we talked to him, we built a network and everything for him to look at. There was a language barrier. And in the language barrier, we were trying to convince these people that you need employee benefits. You need health insurance for your children when you come over here. Not only for you, but also for your kids. I remember one lady came up to me and she spoke broken English. She said, "I hate hospitals because that's where people die." And it really took me aback. I mean, like, I was like, huh? And she was like, no, that's where people die. And then she said, you have doctor, you have clinic. I'm like, yeah, we have clinics. You know what I'm saying? We have places that you can go to. You don't necessarily have to go to the hospital.
Yeah.
She said, me not going to a hospital because you're going to die. And I remember talking to some of my African friends. I said, is that a stigma? Is that an ideology? And she said, no. She said, because in a lot of their cultures, they're not used to major hospitals. They're used to clinics. They're used to the doctors beyond borders coming out to the tribes and taking care of the people.
Yeah, now
to the hospital is normally when they at the point of death.
Yeah, but let me add something to that, especially right now. Right now, the public hospital in most French, I'm not going to talk about English, the most French African countries, so I'll talk about 27. There's nothing in the hospital. So if you go to the hospital now, you're really going to have to pray in tongues. And if you don't have the tongues, you have to get your tongues on your way in the hospital. So because we don't pay the doctor the way it's supposed to, now the people who got money open their own private clinic. So if people got money, you go directly to a private clinic and you pay cash like a hotel. You get there for 3 days or whatever. You have to come and make, give some deposit, or they're not going to treat you. You go to the hospital, you're gonna have to bring your sheets. You have to bring your pillow. You better have a family member who's gonna cook for you 3 times a day. Or you're not gonna be able to have that. So that's very, 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 very important. So
now, the crazy thing about it now, if I had not brought that out in conversation, my ideology would have stayed the same.
Exactly, because now let me add something extremely important that I never were able to say it publicly. There's 2 types of African who are coming to the United States. There's an African like me, we used to live in a city. We got, parents work hard, in a good condition. Then there's an African who's coming from a village. The ones coming from a village and we are completely different. In his ideology, in the way he's doing things, in his mannerism, in what he believes, in his interaction with people, with women, everything is opposite. We can from be like from the same country. If he's from the village, his mindset is totally different. So somebody from the village will not understand, like for him to blend in will be extremely hard because it's coming from a village.
So that stems, how I hate to say it this way. God, I hate it this way. But that is where a lot of misunderstanding and hate come from. Because you don't understand that about that person. And you're putting everybody in that box again. You know what I'm saying? Oh, they from Africa. What? Oh, get to know the person. And then, of course, there is some dynamics of a language barrier. Because like I said, out of the 95% of the people that was there, you heard the names of the countries that I said. They didn't speak English. Some did. Very few. And it was broken English. But they only spoke enough because of the family dynamic. That means that was the speaker for the house.
Not only that, there's another aspect I will try to bring up to you. There's, again, 2 types of people who are coming under 2 different conditions. There's somebody who escaped. So they got a backpack, say, I'm going to America, I'm going to figure out there.
Right.
So that person is not going to school. Is going to find any type of work he can. So if he's not coming from a English-speaking country, if he's not coming from a city, or if he's coming from a village, sometimes that person don't even speak English or don't even speak French. They only know the African language, and they jump from their dialect to New York City. What's up, man? What's going on? This is Brooklyn, man. Represented. Like, what in the world? You know what I'm saying? It's like, what? So that guy now, need to go straight from his dialect straight to slang. It's in Brooklyn, so it goes straight from somebody who don't even understand hip hop, don't even like it, straight to the Wu-Tang stuff. Like what's going on? So this guy is gonna have a lot of trouble to adapt himself from the food, but somebody like me, in the city, we eat burgers, we eat French fries. So when we come here, you will see like there's some Africans say like, oh, I don't eat that. Oh, the food is too sweet. So it means that they never, the type of food that they're eating is what we call the food from the village.
Right.
Goat with curry, so like they don't really eat a lot of stuff that some people eat in America. So that guy is gonna have a lot of trouble to adapt himself. Now, if I'm coming here and I'm coming straight from a student visa, the way I came in the United States as a student, so I'm coming straight to university. And most of the time, just like your boyfriend, when you're coming from university, then you realize you're 2 grades ahead. I'm gonna be an A+ student. I can party and get A's. This is so easy. I started in 9th grade. This is what, first year university. What's in 9th grade? What, math?
Yeah, that's him.
Exactly. So now the problem that we have will be with English, because now we have to type research paper because my first language is not English. So I'm gonna struggle with the way I structure my sentences and stuff like that. But when it comes to math or science, stuff like that, I'm not even kidding, my eyes closed, because I'm 2 grades ahead.
Right.
Because like the way from European and African high school, our level of grade, 12th grade is, year number 2 university. Right. So when we come as a freshman, we really entering the 10th grade. Right. So I've seen this before. So that's why you see, like, it's not like, I'm not gonna say, it's not like, oh, we're so smart. It's just like our school system is so ahead, and then it's very hard. We have no multiple choice. If I go to school and
oh my God,
the teacher telling me,
I remember telling me when he first came over here,
we have a test,
multiple choice.
So you give me the answer.
He said he went
they give you
answers because he was like, oh, so you giving me the answer.
You know what I'm saying? So they give that to you. And they said that, okay, July 20th, I'm gonna ask you a question about this book. And you better know it. So you look at the book, say like, what? So you don't read the book. You have to study the book. And they're gonna give you answer from the whole book. It's not like, oh, I want to help you guys study chapter 6. Like we used to do at the school. Say, what? They just told us already. So I left. It's like, so we call our boys back home. Guys, come to United States. Come to United States. It's easy. It's so easy. All you have to do, man, is to come to every class. If you come to every class, the teacher's gonna like you and it's gonna give you the answer. So you gotta be joking. I say, I'm telling you, man, you can get a PhD if you want.
Oh, he said that. When he said that, I was like, you don't have multiple choice? He said, no, they make you study. Yes. They make you learn. No, you gotta come with the answer. Yes. If you're studying 70 countries, you better know all names of those 70 countries.
And their capital, and the second city.
Yes, he said.
And the second city. So it's not only New York. Do you know also about DC? Are we gonna get you? Oh my God! I mean, to a point where we our teacher, we didn't have a good relationship. We feel like they are the enemy. We treat them like the cops. I say, you cannot like me. The type of stuff you're giving me, you want me to fail. Like they want you to fail. It's like it's so hard. And then on top of that, then there's corruption.
Mm.
So when somebody said I graduate, we have an exam between the 8th and 9th grade.
Mm-hmm.
That exam is harder than 5 PhDs at one time.
Mm.
They make you, now think about it. You have to run 40 meters. You have to stretch. You have to do, that's part of the exam. Think about it, Conchana. They make you run. They make you run. And it's part of your grade. So you have to do flips and stuff. I mean, ask Brice, ask Bricia, ask Charles, ask Marie-Jeanne Warrior. They make you do stuff physically. So if you're a little bit overweight, you're overweight, you're not getting your exam. You don't. You see, I just say, oh, why those people are you? Why you guys are so fit? It's because of all that type of mess. You don't even have a right to get some weight because you're gonna miss the exam. Like you jump. I've sweat like when I think about that. I say, my God, they make you see like you run and you jump hurdles and stuff like that. They make you do that to go to 8 to 9 grades. And that physical activity is 20% of your overall grade. So if you get 0, you ate it already. You miss once, you miss it. You know what I'm saying?
Okay, getting kept back was not an option, huh?
What is that?
Getting kept back was not an option, huh?
The pressure. First of all, the pressure that your parents already gave you.
Mm.
You better not even miss it. Especially if your parents used to have
disrespectful, okay? It's very disrespectful.
Yeah, it's like you have to. I mean, it was just like, it made me relieve this kind of stuff. I'm sweating now thinking about that. So how you do that to a kid, man? And then I forgot. And then there's you have an exam where you have to explain stuff. So they grade you like you're a professional speaker. In French, your dictation, you have to pronounce everything. Then you have an English exam. They make you read in English. Have you never been to? So if a teacher would make you make an exam, went to the United States, it's over for you, because he wants you to have the American accent. So if you study in Texas, you're in Gabon or Cameroon, he wants you to speak with a Texan accent. So you start talking, say no. I graduate from the University of Texas. You're supposed to pronounce that like that. So you try to talk, say, no. This is British English. You might go to America one day. Pronounce it like me. How you doing? So, I mean, I'm telling you, you see, I'm sweating even when I talk about it. It's hard. So when you go from that, and then you come to a school, and they take the university or such and such, and they give you the answer, you choose A, B, C, or D. You say, oh, it might be a joke. You look for a camera. Say, this is an exam right here? Man, this guy, man. Man. So it's not like they're making so hard. Same thing for Asian students. Asian, they even got it harder. So when it's not that all the Asians are so smart. No, it's like they made the American system for people to go to find a job at 18 to boost the economy. They don't want you to stay in school for a long time.
Right.
So that's
harder for you to stay in school for a long time because you normally have to pay for it.
What do you say?
I said they normally tell you, I mean, you going to school for a long time, you're going to pay for that. So you're going to have to really think, do I really want this PhD? Do I want this bachelor's degree? And it's not hard to see millionaires who drop out of college. I had my daughter telling me that one day, like, I don't need school. I said, school is for mythology. It's to teach you a method. At the end of the day, you got to take that method and use it for life. So it's just like you getting wisdom and knowledge. You get the knowledge, you use it with the wisdom in order for you to live your life. So are you sitting there telling me that you don't need school? Do you need school? Or are you just telling me that you just don't want to go to school because it's too much of an effort for you to actually go and to get what you want, because it's not going to drop in your lap. And that doesn't matter what color you are. It ain't dropping in your lap.
Yeah, and now as an entrepreneur too, I'm not to the one who said that the school is not necessary. I believe that you need to know what you want and still go to school to just confirm what you already know as an instinct, just as a precaution. Now, I'm not going to say publicly, oh, school is not important, or school is not important. No, I believe that if you can do that. Now, another thing too is like the cost of school here in the United States. All my kids already know they're going to school in France. We don't even have because it's free. So I don't have to think about, to me, I cannot spend $200,000 per kid for a kid, just to go to school. No, you're going to go where it's free and then maybe get a master here. So you get international education.
Right.
Yeah.
And it's good. It's good for them to be that, because then they're cultural. They're like what the Americans say, it is a melting pot. Oh, Bricia. Let's see. Well, when I first started my life, I'm such a helper. Darcy would tell you that. I really started out just really helping people, period. I didn't have a conclusive to sit there and say, you know what, I want them to do this, I want them to do that, or, my initial goal when I was growing up was to be an architectural engineer. That was my initial goal. I love creating things with my hands, but I also like to see things that if it was in a jumbo, like a puzzle piece, I like putting it together. So engineering just my scope because I like building things, that was just me. And it's so crazy how God has switched that thing around into now I'm in a position where I do media marketing. And I also do administration. But the combination of both of them caused me to have a business called Pro Boss Enterprise. And in that, I help people build their businesses. I help people build their back end structure so that they can have awesome customer service for their clients. So it caused me to use my helping capabilities and use my administrative capabilities, but I'm such a techie. I am a nerd by nature, beautiful nerd I am, but I am a nerd. And so Darcy would tell you, me and him would go out. He'd be like, okay, what about this software? No, that ain't working. Let's try this. What are you trying to do with the software? What are you trying to do with this? Or who are you trying to contact and who are you trying to touch? So have you seen this? Have you seen that? How you connected these both two together? So right now, my life mission and goal is to help people to create. But it depends on what you want to create. If you are wanting to create a business that's going to help propaganda the Black economy, hey, I can help you with that too. I can help you establish your 501c3. I can help you establish your LLC. I can help you establish your corporation. I can help you establish a board, how to put the paperwork together. I can help you build your administration, your HR team. It's just so many things I can do. But I noticed that Pro Boss really stands for something. Pro is actually being professional. Boss is doing back office support systems. So I create or help you create back office support systems. That's where Pro Boss come from. And so that's my life mission. In a nutshell, when it comes to business. Now, when it comes to my personal life, I love the young ladies. I talk to my girls all the time. We hang out, we joke, we laugh, we get serious. I get in mother mode, I be in friend mode. But I also encourage their friends that come in and we laugh and we jokes. And I get to minister to them. I get to mentor them or get to talk with them. It's crazy because my girls would say, I don't know why my friends like you because you're mean. You just mean. It's not that I'm just an introvert. You know what I'm saying? I'm an introvert but extrovert. So I'm a combination of two. But I do have a heart for the young ladies. I do have a heart for women my age who have brokenness and despair and want to understand their identity, want to know who they are. I am a Christian-based woman, so I will use the word. I'm just being honest with anyone. That is my life mission. That's what I love to do. So I'm giving you both my personal and my business side.
Perfect. Perfect answer. So guys, we're gonna have to cut short because we can stay all night. But this is not a weekend. This is a weekday. And
yes, it is.
Conchata and I, we've been knowing each other, our families for 15 years. So
yes,
we're gonna do it again.
Time,
yeah,
right?
15 years. Yes.
I turned 20 this year.
Yes.
20. Okay. I'm free.
So we're gonna do more of that. It was really on the fly.
Yeah.
But we have so many conversation
Mm-hmm.
privately, and we have so many friends in common.
Mm-hmm.
And what I realized, I just want to show people that the group of people that I hang around with, even now it's not in Atlanta anymore, they are solid. Because sometimes, when I talk to my African brothers and sisters, they say like, how you got American friends? I say, I got plenty. And they're good. And it's like we good. Like, yeah, we good. And they look at me like, maybe like I'm lying to them. So I'm gonna bring all of them. The one I can, get their hands on.
Mm-hmm.
And really, so you can really have a perspective and help you. Do not see when you see the media, because there's something that they show in the media in Europe and Africa. When they see a black person, is always in a bad light.
Mm-hmm.
Is a woman arguing, talking about. You see, Conchata, at not one time she turned her neck talking. So I feel like it's like, Martin Lawrence, Shenene. They think that, okay, they always show the Shenene on TV. And no, it's not that. There's so many smart, articulate, intelligent black women that we cannot even number them. Mm-hmm. But unfortunately, housewife of I don't want nobody to sue me, but whatever variety show that you watch, this is not the reflection of Black America.
Mm-hmm.
Forget what you heard. Even people who do live in a certain part of a city, on the other side of the track, even them who don't have the money of education, they're still good people. Mm-hmm. They still talk to people in respect. They're not fighting all the time. This is just, what the media is doing for the African American people on the island to think like people on the island are better than African are better than American are better than African, and vice versa. We all want people, and this is why we're doing those broadcasts where we laugh, but at the same time we talk about serious situation to let you know that this is not true. Right. This is not true. And if you experience a bad experience, it was a bad experience with a bad individual. Mm-hmm. Don't make that bad experience make it like all American are like that, all African are like that, all the people from the island are like that. No, it was the bad experience. Even if you have more than one or two or three, it's still individual, and you cannot put that and say like, oh, I know about them. Mm-hmm. No, you never met all of them, so that's so important. Yep. Okay, guys, so we're gonna go. It's 1 hour and 44 minutes. Even people know that when I do my French stuff, it's always 1 hour. I said, okay, Darcy, when you do stuff in French, you're short. You do stuff in English, you're long. This is one of the person I talk to all the time. He said, like, Darcy, when are you going back in English? Because I stopped doing English broadcasts in 2015, 16, like regularly. So but I'm coming back. I'm coming back, and
all right, I was picking on him. I'm like, look, I can't follow your French. Okay. He was sending me stuff, and I'm like, now he know full well I'm not gonna understand nothing that they say. I love to hear him speak French, but I was like, no. I try to. I told my daughter, I said, you know what? That's gonna be one language I'm gonna learn how to speak before Jesus returns. Between that one and Spanish. Now Spanish, I got 2 or 3 years in, I can get by. But French, it's gonna take me a little bit long, and it's crazy because I studied Latin in college. That's crazy.
Yeah.
Studying a language I ain't even gonna speak.
Yeah, you know it's a dead language, right?
Yeah, but I had to study it because when I was in the medical field, you know, that's part of medical terminology.
Oh, okay.
The medical words come out of Latin, so we had to learn the preclusives of Latin in order to go into medical terminology so we can understand.
Wow.
But I was like, really? Of all languages, Conchata?
I didn't know that. I didn't know that. All right, then. So thank you so much, Conchata. Thank you, everybody who's here.
Thank you, Darnell, for my shirt. You are.
I'm ordering my shirt this week. I have to. I'm saying publicly. I'm gonna get another color though. I'm not gonna get a white because you got a white. I want to get another color.
Really?
Yes.
Don't do that, Darnell. Make sure he get a white one.
That's how we're gonna make it happen. All right, everybody. Thank you. Bye.
Bye. Y'all have a great night.